Hello, welcome to Analog Circuit Design online lecture series. Myself, Reema Nagar from Edge Institute of Engineering and Technology. In today's session, we are going to see the unit operational amplifiers, and today's topic is block diagram of typical op-amp and AC and DC characteristics of op-amp. So let's start today's session. So first of all, let us see block diagram of typical op-amp. Here we are going to see how there are the stages on which op-amp takes the operations. First block diagram over here is the input stage, where the input is given to the op-amp. The next stage is the intermediate stage. The third stage is level shifting stage, and the last stage is the output stage. Now, as you can see, at the input stage, two arrows are indicated. That indicates that two inputs are given and output is taken as the two inputs, or else two output is obtained from the two inputs. So the first input stage indicates that there are two input terminals and two output terminals. That indicates that here it is two input and two output type block. The second block is intermediate stage, where there are two inputs and single output. That indicates that it is a bi input, that means dual input and single output type. The third block is the level shifting stage, and the last is output stage. So as you have seen over here, there are different types of blocks. The first one, that is input stage, is of dual input and dual output type. That means there are two number of inputs and two number of outputs. Whereas the second block is dual input and single output type. That means it has two inputs and single output. The third block is the single input and single output type. That means it has only one input and one output. And same way, the output stage has the single input and single output. Okay? So this is the block diagram of the typical op-amp. Now let us understand what is the role of each and every block. So first block is input stage. Now as the name suggests, this stage of op-amp is related to the input of the op-amp. That means input are given to this terminal, and according to that it will give the output to the next block, that is our intermediate stage. So this is our intermediate stage where the output of the input stage is given. Now at the intermediate stage, as the name suggests, what it does is, it is the stage where different operations are performed on the received signals. Now when the amplification is done, the next block, as you can see over here, is the level shifting stage. So in level shifting stage, the operational amplifier is used to amplify the level of the input signal. That's why it is called as the level shifting stage. And the last one is the output stage, from where the output is obtained. Now, let us see the AC and DC characteristics of op-amp. Now see, every op-amp has their own AC and DC characteristics. That is to be concerned, or that is to be kept in mind, because we need to observe that AC parameters and DC parameters, how operation amplifiers are obtained or are obtained to perform some specific condition. So based on that, AC and DC characteristics are to be observed. So op-amp characteristics are classified into two broad categories. First one is DC characteristics and the second one is AC characteristics. Now in DC characteristics, we will see first one, that is input bias current. So here we will see the first DC characteristics, input bias current. Then the next is input offset current. Then the next is input offset voltage. After that, the next is thermal drift, and the next is CMRR. And the last one is PSRR. So these are the basic characteristics of DC. That means DC performance parameters or DC characteristics of op-amp that we are going to see. Next, let us see AC characteristics. So AC characteristics are the first one, that is frequency response parameters. Next is slew rate. After that, observing all of these categories, we will see how the AC and DC characteristics are important, what are the ideal values of that for each and every op-amp. So let's start with that all characteristics. First one we are going to see is input bias current, that is IB. Now what is input bias current? So the input bias current parameter, that is IB or simply IB, is defined as the average of currents into two input terminals with the output at a specified level. That means we are having two inputs at the op-amp. Okay, both of the currents flowing at the two different input terminals. If we take the average of these two currents, then we can get the input bias current. It is always expressed in the unit of amperes. So we can mathematically express it like this, that is IB equals to IB1 plus IB2 by 2. Okay. Next parameter is input offset current. See, offset parameters, whether in terms of voltage or current, is very important to related to op-amp. First, we are considering the input offset voltage, input offset current. Now, before starting to introduce input offset current or input offset voltage, let me tell you that offset term indicates that in the absence of input, the output current or output voltage should be ideally zero. But practically it is not so. So if we are giving any input, we can get the output, that is a valid input. But without giving any input to op-amp, if we are getting some minor output, that is called as the offset. Whether it is terms of current or in terms of voltage. If it is in terms of voltage, we will call it as input offset voltage. And if it is in terms of current, we will call it as input offset current. Okay? So, the input offset current, IIOS, is the difference between negative input bias current and positive input bias current. That means, let's say for example, if I take IB1 and IB2, so the difference between these two is called as input offset current. If I want to express it mathematically, it is something like this, that IIOS equals to IB1 minus IB2. Okay. Next parameter is input offset voltage. So, the input offset voltage is defined as the voltage that must be applied between two input terminals of the op-amp to obtain 0 volts at the output. That means, as I have told you earlier, without giving any input, we are getting some output. Let's say for example, I am getting the output 0.2 volts. To make it 0, I need to apply minus 0.2 volts. So that minus 0.2 volt is called as a negative offset voltage. If I am getting the output minus 0.1, I will give plus 0.1 volt to make it 0. So that is called as the positive offset voltage. So in short, the input offset voltage is called as the voltage that must be applied between the two input terminals of the op-amp to obtain the 0 volts of the output side. Okay? Ideally, we know that the output of the op-amp should be 0 when inputs are grounded. In reality, the input terminals are at slightly different DC potential. Because of that, we are getting some output. Next parameter is thermal drift. As the word thermal is here, it by itself indicates that it is related to temperature. So, what is thermal drift? So, drift is a general term that describes the change in DC operating characteristics with time or temperature. So the temperature drift for input offset current is expressed in terms of nanoampere per degree Celsius, and drift for input offset voltage is indicated as microvolts per degree Celsius. So these are the unit for thermal drift in terms of voltage and current. Next parameter is CMR. So CMR stands for common mode rejection ratio. It is important parameter or important characteristics related to op-amp because whenever we are giving the input to two different input terminals of the op-amp, it either can be same or it can be different. If the both inputs are same, we will call it as common mode operation of the op-amp. That means both inputs are common. If two inputs are different, we will call it as differential mode operation for the op-amp. So, common mode rejection ratio. The op-amp common mode rejection ratio is a ratio of common mode gain to the differential mode gain. If you want to represent in the mathematical form. We can represent it like this. CMRR is denoted as rho, that is equals to AD by ACM, where AD stands for differential gain and ACM stands for common mode gain. Now, next parameter is PSRR. PSRR stands for power supply rejection ratio. What is that? So, PSRR is the ratio of the change in the input offset voltage with respect to the change in the power supply voltage. That means, whenever you are giving any input, if the fluctuation in the input affects on the output, that is not desirable. So, PSRR is the amount that indicates that the change in input offset voltage with respect to change in power supply voltage. If you want to represent it mathematically, we can represent it like this. That means PSR, that is equal to delta VIOS by delta V, where delta VIOS is change in the input offset voltage and delta V is the change in the supply voltage. Okay. Next parameter is frequency response. Frequency response is very important parameter because we need to obtain the op-amp performance parameters based on the frequency response. So frequency response of an amplifier or filter shows how the gain of the output responds to input signals at different frequencies. That means at different frequencies, what are the response parameters and how the op-amp behaves or how the op-amp gives the output. That is to be observed. Next is slew rate. Slew rate is again an important parameter that is to be considered for op-amp behavior. So, the slew rate is defined as the maximum rate of output voltage change per unit time. That means we are required to observe the change parameters of output voltage with respect to time. Let's say for example at T1 time period, output voltage is 0.5 volts and at some T2 time interval, the output voltage is 0.7 volts. So the output voltage is increased by some value. So we need to observe these parameters with respect to time and we need to observe this behavior that is called as slew rate. If you want to form it or represent it mathematically, we can represent it like this: S equals to dVO by dt for maximum condition and its unit is volts per microsecond. This unit must be remembered. Now, let us see the equivalent circuit of op-amp. So this is the equivalent circuit of op-amp, which is very important. Here the circuit is indicated having two input terminals, inverting input and non-inverting input. And plus VCC is indicated for positive power supply and minus V is indicated for negative power supply. And at the output side, as you can see over here, RL is connected. Here RL indicates the load resistance. Load resistance indicates that the output side which load is connected and how the circuit will behave. Okay. Here ABVD, that is this one. This indicates the independent supply source, and that is AB is voltage gain and VD is differential voltage. So ABVD is the current source. Okay. And RI and RO are the output resistance and input resistance respectively. Here in the op-amp case, input resistance should be ideally infinite and RO, that is output resistance, should be ideally 0. We will see the different ideal characteristics values for AC and DC parameters. Now, let's see characteristics of an ideal op-amp. These are the ideal characteristics of op-amp, or else you can say characteristics of an ideal op-amp. Okay? First one, we have seen the RI, which we have already seen that it is infinite. That means ideal value of input resistance is infinite. Second is RO, that is output resistance. The ideal value of output resistance is 0. The third value is AB, that is voltage gain. Its ideal value is infinite. That means ideally the voltage gain should be as high as possible. Next is bandwidth. Bandwidth ideally its value is infinite and practically the bandwidth should be as high as possible. Next is CMRR. The ideal value of CMRR is infinite. That means common mode rejection ratio should be infinite and practically it should be as high as possible. Next is offset voltage. Offset voltage should be 0. That means its irrespective of the zero input, or else irrespective of whatever the input is given, the output is according to the input only. That means, in short, we can say that if input is zero, output must be zero. Right? So this is the ideal value of offset voltage, but practically it is not so. So practically it should be as low as possible. PSRR, ideally its value should be zero, and practically it is as low as possible. And the last one is slew rate. Ideal value of slew rate is infinite. That means with respect to time, the change in output voltage should be immediate. That means it should be infinite, and practically it should be as high as possible. So these are the characteristics of ideal op-amp, or as you can say, this table indicates all the ideal values of each and every characteristics related to op-amp. It is very important. These are the references. I hope that whatever we have seen in today's session is clear to you now. We have seen the AC and DC characteristics of an op-amp. We have defined the characteristics and their ideal values. And we have seen the equivalent circuit of an op-amp. Try to recall it and try to remember all of the values and try to understand them. Thank you. In the next session, we are going to see further topics of this chapter only. Thank you once again. Thanks for watching.